Hello and welcome to my video on this dinosaur from 2011. This here is the ASUS G74SX, but it's the cheapo version. It is actually called the G74SX BBK7. This model appears to have been sold in Best Buys in the United States, which is where I bought this one. Back in 2011, this cost $1,100, and since it was 2011, the Canadian dollar was at par with the American dollar. Now the computer sports a 1600 by 1900 resolution 17-inch display, an Intel Core i7-2630QM processor, 8GB of DDR3 RAM, and it originally came with two 500GB hard drives, but I've replaced one of them with an SSD, and it came with a 2GB Nvidia GeForce 560M graphics card. And of course it ran on Windows 7, but it qualified for the free upgrade to Windows 10. Now when I bought this thing at the Best Buy, I do recall the salesperson claiming that it would absolutely destroy any game released in the next 5 years. While that might have been a bit of an exaggeration, the laptop served me well for the time I've had it, and I continue to use it today for a lot of tasks. I have many fond memories of playing World of Tanks on this thing as a teenager, and I tried to take good care of it, upgrading the hard drive when I upgraded to Windows 10, and after I almost destroyed it by tripping on the power cord, I fixed it by tearing it down and soldering the power connector back to the motherboard. I would not recommend doing this if you don't know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing, and it took a few attempts. A lot of the time it wouldn't power on, but eventually I got the solder in the right place and it did power on. One thing I disliked when I first bought this computer was the fact that there were two bright spots on the screen. I was too lazy to return it and go through all the trouble of having to go back where I bought it, so I ended up just continuing to use it as it was. The bright spots weren't too noticeable, especially when viewing anything on a white screen. On to benchmarking. Some people take multiple points and average them out, but the method I've used is a lot more casual. I've simply taken the frames per second, 1% and 0.1% lows that best represented the kind of action you'd expect to see on the screen while playing these titles. Please also note that I used OBS to capture this footage, since I'm too broke to have a capture card, so some of the CPU resources were used by OBS. Now Left 4 Dead seems to be unplayable when you look at it in my recording here, but when OBS isn't on, it's not nearly as bad. Another thing that definitely pulled in this laptop's favor was the lower screen resolution, which definitely would make it easier to play many titles. This laptop is nearly a decade old, and it's definitely pulled its weight. I still use it every day as a secondary machine which I keep next to my main one. If I were to travel, I'd probably take this thing with me because it's capable enough for me to use, although a bit heavy. I also find this laptop quite useful as I can take it to the living room, and I can use it practically anywhere in the house. I can't see myself upgrading this laptop any further, and there isn't really an upgrade path for it. I could perhaps look at installing new RAM, but I don't think that it would be worth it. And this machine seems to do just fine with the tasks that have been given to it. I mainly use it for browsing the web and as an extra monitor if I'd like to watch two things at once. And of course, I called the machine the Pegasus, as ASUS apparently was named after the ancient flying horse of Greek mythology. I thought it would be a fitting name for the device. And that will conclude my video. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification icon.